Good day, ladies and gents. We're going to be doing the Unit 1 study guide, things that you should have on your desk. You should definitely have your Hot Topics page, and you might have started writing extra stuff, such as how to do the radicals. That's an idea for you. And then another thing you should have on your desk definitely is your calculator. Very, very important that you guys have a calculator. You cannot use your cell phone. No, no, no. If you're going to use the computer calculator, meaning you can go on the actual computer calculator, but you can't go on Google, you can't use your cell phone, things like that. So make sure that you have a cell phone that you have your calculator, or you're getting used to using the computer calculator, but not the Google calculator. Just putting that out there. Okay, so let's get started. All right, for this study guide. All right, so I'm going to zoom in here. All right. Michael and Dennis live in separate cities, and one day they decide to meet for lunch because they both wanted to travel a little as possible. They decided to meet at one point halfway. Okay, so a point halfway. So that right there is telling me about the midpoint. Okay, if Michael's position, so this is where Michael is, right here, and Dennis is right here, what are the coordinates that represent where they should meet? So we're actually looking for the midpoint. So that's what we're looking for. So for midpoint, all we have to do is take the two coordinates, add them together, divide by 2. Now remember, add the top together, then divide by 2, because if you divide too early, such as this right here, you might actually accidentally go 8 plus 2 divided by 2. If you put that in the calculator, you'll accidentally get 9, because what you did was you did 8 plus, and 2 divided by 2 was 1, and you accidentally got 9. See, you're supposed to add the top first, which gives you 10, divide by 2, then you get 5. All right, so be careful. So don't do this. Make sure you do the top all by itself, then divide by 2. All right, so let's write down our coordinates. All right, so Michael is at 3100, 500. All right, so and double check that you write down the correct coordinates, because a typo would mess everything up. And then Dennis, so Dennis is 5120, 125. All right, and so we said that we're going to add them together, divide by 2. So 3100 plus 5120, divide by 2. And 500 plus 125, divide by 2. So when we add those two together, so let me put this right here. All right, 3100 plus 5120, we get 8220 divided by 2. And let's divide that by 2, and we get, I ran out of room, so I'll put it up here, 4100. And then over here, 500 plus 125, we get 625 divided by 2. Divide that by 2, we get 312.5. And that's our answer. That's it. But they said to put it in fraction form, so these tricky little buggers, but unless they say otherwise, this is the answer. But or if they asked you for the x coordinate or y coordinate, one or the other. But they said fraction form, so we're stuck with 4100, which is pretty gets. This fraction form, 625 over 2, that's the pretty gets. So that was our answer that they specifically wanted, and then we're done. Okay, next, number 2, which is over here. Okay, if the midpoint of M to L is K, and MK is 10x plus 5, and LK is this, what is that? Okay, so we're talking about, it's midpoint, but it's not coordinates, so that means it's one of these two over here. Now this is midpoint, so if I say midpoint, or if I say bisect, or center, something along those lines of something about being in the middle, it's going to be this one up here, because that's smack dab in the middle where this and this are equal. If it wasn't in the middle, like if it's off center, it would be this. So this plus this equals the whole shebang. But because it's in the center, it's in the midpoint, smack dab in the center, so on the left would be equal to the right. Okay, so because they said midpoint, we have the left is equal to the right. So this is smack dab in the center where this side and this side are equal. And they said if the midpoint of M to L is K, so the midpoint is K, so K goes here and that's M to L. Now let's label what we have. M to K is 10x plus 5, and L to K is 5x plus 20. What is L to K? All right, so we're finding this distance. So we're going to set the left equal to the right. So 10x plus, and be careful because that kind of looked like a 6. So 10x plus 5 is equal to 5x plus 20. All right, we're going to solve. I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. 5x plus 5 is equal to 20. I'm going to subtract 5 from both sides. Get 5x is equal to 15. I divide by 5. And I always want to skip steps because I know what's going on, but you guys don't, so I'm going to show more work. All right, so we have x is equal to 3. Now, I've told you that once you do that, you want to take your x and plug it back into the picture for 2 reasons. One, to double check yourself, but the other reason is to be prepared no matter what question they ask. All right, so if we plug it back into the picture, so 10 times 3 and then plus 5, we would get 35. So this distance is really 35. 5 times 3 plus 20, this distance would also be 35, which is exactly what we wanted, right? The left is equal to the right. Now, they can ask us any question. They could say, hey, what is x? They could ask us for the left side, which is m to k. They could ask us for the right side, l to k, or they could ask us for the whole shebang, m to l. Now, x was 3. M to K, the left side was 35, the right side was 35, and the whole shebang would be those two things out together, which would be 70. Now, what did they specifically ask us for? These tricky buggers didn't ask us for X. They asked for M to L. And so our answer would be 70. And you would only type in 70. You wouldn't put 70 meters. You wouldn't put ML is equal to 70. It would only be 70. And that would be your final answer. Okay, number 3. All right, so in number 3, if the midpoint of E to G is F, and we have these distances, what is E to G? So this is the same thing as what we did a second ago. So, we're going to draw our picture. If the midpoint of E to G is F, so the midpoint is F, and it's from E to G. So this side and this side are equal. Let's label. And blank is this. Oh, there's a typo. Sorry, that got cut off. That was supposed to be E to G right there. If E to G is this. Sorry about that typo. So I will make sure I point that out in class. So E to G is 12x minus 15, and F to G is 4x plus 9. What is E to G? So this is the same thing as what we just did a second ago. All right, so we know the left is equal to the right. So 12x minus 15 is equal to 4x plus 9. All right, subtract 4x from both sides. So we would get 8x minus 15. Now, notice I almost did plus 5, so be careful with that. Is equal to 9, so I subtracted 4. So what disappeared? That 4 I subtracted. I'm going to add 15 to both sides. 8x is equal to, just showing less work. I'm going to add 15 to both sides, and I get 24. Divide by 8. So 24 divided by 8, I get 3. So I have you ever feel like you did something wrong? I did something wrong. No. No, I'm a dork. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. All right, so I did something wrong. I'm going to do this again because I'm a dork. I'm so sorry. All right. Okay, so let's try this again. So, wow, I really messed up. It's 9 minutes in, so I'm going to keep going. So, E to G. Sorry about that. Okay, so, And we have e to g, which is the whole shebang. I was wondering why it looked just like the other one. Okay, so it's 12x minus 15. All right, so now it's correct. Well, I'm already pointing this one out, so, okay, so, and we're looking for this distance. Okay, so the midpoint. All right, so now because this is the midpoint, now I know you want to do this plus this equals the whole shebang, but I don't know what this is, and I can't call it x because x is already being used for something else. But I know that the left and the right are the same, so I'm going to say 4x plus 9. So now, so we put that in there. So now we have 4x plus 9 plus 4x plus 9 is equal to 12x minus 15. All right, now I have it right. Okay, so that is 8x plus 18 is equal to 12x minus 15. I'm going to subtract 8x from both sides. I get 18 is equal to 4x minus 15. I'm going to add 15 to both sides. So 18 plus 15, I get 33 equals 4x. I'm going to divide by 4. So 33 divided by 4, and I get 8.25 is equal to x. All right, so now that we have that, we're going to take that and we're going to plug it back into our picture to double check. So 4 times 8.25 plus 9, this right here would be 42. And this would right here be 42. And now it should be 84 down here, but I'm going to double check. 12 times 8.25 minus 15, and I do get 84. So that does check out. All right, so now we can safely check our answer. They wanted e to g. So we're able to answer every question, right? So we have x, we have e to f, f to g, and we have the whole shebang, e to g. So x was 8.25, e to f was 42, the right side was 42, and the whole shebang was 84, and they wanted 84, and that was the answer. And you type that in as 84, not EG equals 84, just 84. Sorry about that typo and me being a dork. Sorry about that. Okay, so on this one, number 4. So we're going to graph this. Okay, so, and they are going to want the perimeter. All right, so 2, 8, that's my A. 2, 5, that's my B. 6, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's my C. And 8, 10 is my D. All right, and you should have a straight edge, such as your ID. That will help you be a little more accurate. Okay, so this sucker, this is awesome because this distance is really easy to find. So horizontal and vertical, you can just count the hops. So 1, 2, 3 hops. So this is 3. 1, 2, 3, 4 hops. This is 4. Now these other two we have to find. So I want the distance of A to B plus B to C plus C to D plus D to A. Those are the distance I want to find. And I found a couple of them. I know that, I know that A to B is 3. I know B to C is 4, and I need to go find these other two distances. So let's go find them. All right, so this distance, C to D, I need to make a right triangle. And this is a 2 by 1, 2, let's go this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 2 squared plus 5 squared equals x squared. That's 4 plus 25 equals x squared. We got the square root of 29. So right here is the square root of 29. And you can change it to decimal form if you prefer. So I did not just do another typo. 6 and 8, 10. Yep. Okay, I'm so good. All right, and this one right here. we have, this is 2 hops. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hops. So that is D to A is 2 squared plus 6 squared equals x squared. We get 4 plus 36 is equal to x squared. That is 40. And we're going to square root that, so it's plus the square root of 40. Okay, so now all we have to do is add those together. All right, so in my calculator, we have 3 plus 4 plus the square root of 29, close those parentheses, plus the square root of 40, close those parentheses. And we get 18.70972, and it keeps going, and it sits in your hundredths. So are we staying at 18.70, or are we going up to 18.71? That decision is made by that 9. So that is 18.71 is my final answer. And there you go. Okay, and then let's go to number 5. All right. Okay, so then number 5. Okay, on the grid line, we have AB has endpoint B, and midpoint AB is this. What is the x-coordinate? Okay, and remember, there's graphs on the back page if you want to do it that way. So on this one, we have AB has an endpoint and a midpoint is this. So they gave us the midpoint, right? So if they gave us the midpoint, then if they already gave us the midpoint, then we're going to be looking for the missing endpoint. So looking for the missing endpoint. So we would continue the pattern. So we have A and B, and in the middle is M. All right, so B was -1, 1. The midpoint M was 1, 4, and we're trying to get to A. So how do we get from -1 to 1? We would have to have added 2. So add 2 again, and you would get 3. How do you get from 1 to 4? You added 3, add 3 again, and you would get 7. And if that was not comfortable enough for you, then another way, and by the way, they wanted the x-coordinate, so the x-coordinate was 3, and 3 is our answer. And if you were not comfortable with that, the other way you can have done this is to put this on the graph, right? Your B was at -1, 1. Your M was at 1, 4. So if we have this so far, and M is in the middle, that means that we need to continue that pattern, right? So how did I get from B to M? I went 2 to the right, and I went 3 up. So just do it again, 2 to the right, 1, 2, 3 up, and I landed right here, and this is my A. And notice that those are all on the same line, and M looks back dab in the middle. And what's that coordinate? That coordinate was 3, 7, and I wanted my x coordinate. So that was number 5. Okay, so that was another way to do that. We did this. We got the same answer. Okay, on number 6, they want the what is the value of the midpoint of D to G? All right, so here's D, and here's J. I said J, G, J. All right, I want the smack dab in the center. 1, 2, 3. So that would be here. All right, and or I could have done, and they want the value, right? So that, what is the value? They want the number. So the answer was -1. The other way to do that was to actually find your D and J, which was -4 and 2. You add them together, divide by 2. That's -2 over 2, which is -1. Both ways to do that was correct. Having trouble turning the page. Okay, and then, okay, we're on number 7. All right, so on number 7, we have the triangle right here. He adds a straight edge bar from point C, so here's C, to the midpoint of A to B. So we have to find the midpoint. So wherever that is. So I don't know exactly where that is, but I need to find the midpoint. All right, so the midpoint. So I want to find the straight edge between those two. So I want to find this distance. So in order to find that length, I need to find the midpoint of that. I need to find the midpoint of A to B. That's the first thing. Then I need to find the distance from that midpoint to C. All right, so let's go find that midpoint. All right, so we have A, which is at 2, 3, and B, which is at 16, 8. All right, add them together, divide by 2. So 2 plus 16 divided by 2. That's 18 over 2, which is 9. And we have 3 plus 8 over 2. That's 11 over 2, which is 5.5. So this right here, this point right there, is 9, 5.5. Okay, now let's go find the distance. So the distance from the midpoint, which we said was 9, 5.5, and C, which they already gave to us, which is 16, 3. And I want to find the distance. Now, distance is you subtract them and you Pythagorean theorem. All right, so let's do that. So 9 minus 16, and we're going to do Pythagorean theorem. 5.5 minus 3, Pythagorean theorem. All right, so 9 minus 16, and you get negative 7 squared plus 5.5 minus 3, you get 2.5. All that's squared. So now square that. So negative 7 squared, we get 49 positive, right? And 2.5 squared, we get 6.25. Okay, it's equal to x squared, equal to x squared, equals to x squared. Okay, let's add those two together. And we get 55.25 is equal to x squared. Okay, I'm going to square both sides. I ran out of room, so I'll put it up here. All right, so, and we get 7 point, so I'm square rooting both sides, I get 7.433034, and they said to round to nearest hundredth. So how many zeros does 100 have? 2. So we're going, it's either going to stay at 43 or going up to 44. That 3 after it wasn't big enough, it didn't make it over the hill, so that's 7.43 is our final answer. And we could measure this. We could use a scrap sheet of paper to double check our work, right? So I want the distance. So this is, let's see. So the center of that is right about here, right? All right, so now what is that distance? The distance from here to here is roughly this amount. Okay, so let's measure that. That is, so I'm trying to get to here, right? So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's somewhere between 7 hops and 8 hops. And yeah, I feel really good about this. I was somewhere between 7 and 8, and that's where my answer was. So I feel really solid about this. Okay, number 8, which a lot of people forget. What are the undefined terms? This is super awesome. This is super awesome and super important. And it's right here on your Hot Topics page. 3 undefined terms: points, lines, planes. That's your answer. Points, lines, planes. Super important. All right, number 9. Okay, so number 9, on Monday, John walked from Colton to Saddlebrook. So he went from here to here. And then Riverton. So he went that distance. All right, so he went that distance right there. And then he, on Tuesday, he walked from Colton, I'll do his black, Colton to Newton, and then to Riverton. Colton to Newton, and then to Riverton. How much further did he walk on Monday compared to, so we want to find the distance of the red, and we want to find the distance of the black. All right, so let's go find those distances. Okay, so this distance right here, so be careful because this is 2, 4, 6, 8. So this is where a big mistake happens right here. So be very careful. Colton is at negative 4,6. And Saddlebrook is at 8, and that's 12, 8, 12. And then Riverton is at, okay, that's 2, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So Riverton is at 14, 2. So that's where a big mistake happens, knowing where those are located. And where's Newton? Newton is at 4. Now it's right smack dab in the center, but is that 0.5? No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's 5. So that's 4, 5. So be aware of where those locations are. So be aware of those locations. Okay, so Colton. So we want to know this distances, right? So for the red, we went from Colton to Saddlebrook, right? So Colton to Saddlebrook was 2, 4, 6 by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. So I'm just doing the Pythagorean theorem on this. Okay, so 6 squared plus 12 squared. That's the square root of 180. Okay, and then from Saddlebrook to Riverton, we went 2, 4, 6, and we went 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, so 6 squared plus 10 squared, and we get the square root of 136. So together, how far did we go? Square root of 180, close parentheses, plus the square root of 136, and we went 25.078. And we should actually use like every single decimal while we're doing this. But that's just kind of ran out of room. But you get the idea right there. Okay, and then on the black one, we went 2, 4, 6, 8. So Colton and Newton. So 8 squared by, and that's only a 1 hop. So 8 squared plus 1 squared, and we get square root of 65. And then Newton to Riverton, we went, so I'm making a right triangle right here. So that's 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 hops by 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So 3 squared plus 10 squared, and we get square root of 109. So square root of 65 plus the square root of 109. And I forgot to close parentheses, so let's do that. And we get about 18.5026. And then if we subtract those two, 25.078 and a bunch of stuff, we get roughly 6.57. So how much further did one walk from the other? Approximately 6.6 miles. So we subtract those. So 25.078 minus 18.502, we get approximately 6.58. And that's the answer. So we subtract those two numbers, and that was fine. So roughly there. And they didn't say anything about rounding, so we're okay. Now, if your head exploded, what was another way to do this, right? Another way to do this was just to measure it. So if we go by red, from Colton to Saddlebrook is this distance, and then add this distance right here. All right, so that's the whole distance there. Okay, now let's do black. Black, so and I could figure out that number, or I could just keep comparing. Okay, so from from Colton to Newton is from here to here, added to here to here. This is the final distance. So I want to know this distance, these final distances. So let's measure that. So that is so this is 2, this is 4, this is 6, this is 8. So it's somewhere between 6 and 8, and this is 7 right here, right? So it's somewhere between 6 and 7 hops. And look at what our answer was. It was 6.58. So I could have just gone like, about 6.5 and just like guessed. And I still would have gotten the same answer, roughly, depending on what they told me to round to. So this is a good, like if you have no idea, you can just measure it and make an educated guess, or you could do it algebraically. All right, number 10. All right, so so on this one, traveled from house to house. Okay, so we're running out of time here, so I'm just going to show you what this is. All right, so we went from this house to this house to there, right? Okay, so all we have to do is how far did he travel? Find this Pythagorean theorem, you get this answer. Find this Pythagorean theorem answer, you get this answer. And then what you do is add those together. But they said that traveled, so 30 miles, right about there. So if they said, hey, that's the answer right there. So we have this. He traveled Manuel's house. How far did he travel to the nearest mile? And there you go. All right. So if they said that 1 unit is 3 miles, did they say it this time? Yeah. So 1 unit is 3 miles. So at the end, all we have to do is take our number before we rounded, multiply by 10, and then we would have gotten approximately 30 miles. Okay, number 11. All right, so number 11, we have these two numbers right here, right? And what they wanted was what was the midpoint. So if we want to know what the midpoint is, we just have to add them together, divide by 2, and that would be your answer right there. Okay, and that's 11. Okay, number 12. Number 12, okay, find the coordinates of the missing endpoint if JK and the midpoint's this. So if we already have the midpoint and we're looking for the missing endpoint, so you have to continue the pattern. So continue the pattern and we get 3, -2. Okay, on number 13. Okay, on number 13, all you have to do is take this and drop it in here. So this right here, this is called line AB, and it has infinite amount of points. See, right there, infinite, and how many endpoints? There are no endpoints. There are no endpoints because it goes on forever and ever. This right here is called line segment. And once again, it has an infinite amount of points on it. And it has 2 endpoints, 1, 2, right there. So 2. Okay, and this right here is called ray, and it starts at A, goes to B. So ray AB, it has an infinite amount of points on it again, and there's only 1 endpoint, and it goes on forever and ever in the other one. So 1. Okay, and then finally, our last problem here. Okay, so our last problem. So our last problem here, what we're going to do is, so we have these two things right here. So we have -4, -3, and we have 1, 4, and that's your A, and that's your B, and you have that distance. Okay, so we have, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hops, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hops. All right, so from A, and we're going to be going a total of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and B is 5. Okay, and what we're going to do is your A is from -4, -3, and your B is 1, 4. Okay, so we're going to go 5 divided by 5, which is 1. And we're going to go vertically as 7 over 5, which is 1.4. Now, how do we get from -4 to 1? We're going to be adding. How do we get from -3 to 4? We're going to be adding. So all you have to do, now that you have this, you just have to take in your calculator, -4. Go right here. It's a little better. All right, so we're going to do this. So -4, and we're going to be adding 1. So add 1, get -3. Add 1, you get -2. Add 1, you get -1, 0, then 1. Okay, and then right here, -3. We're going to be adding 1.4. You get -1.6, -0.2, -1.2, 2.6, and we landed on 4. So both times we landed on the right spot. Okay, and your final step here is going from, they said going from A to B, so going in this distance, this direction, and we're going to go 4 hops. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we landed here, and so we have this, and they, tricky little buggers, said that they wanted the y coordinate. So yep. So they wanted the y coordinate. So this is my x coordinate. This is my y coordinate. So my answer is 2.6. And that's it. All right. Okay. So I hope that helped you guys out a lot. I hope you study for your test and have a great and wonderful day.